Hello. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. We'll just give it a second for people to join and I can find my guest. But let me know where you're joining from, what part of the world you are in, like the rest of us here in Canada. So much snow. I haven't seen this much snow since I moved, since 10 years ago. So hello, welcome. Just waiting for my guests to join. Today we're talking about thriving after divorce, right? Because we know how it is where, what's going on? How divorce is really it's not so easy. And when you have to navigate it alone, it's not easy as well. And there's just so many things that go through. It can be the best thing that happened to you or the worst, or maybe both. So we'll find out today. Today we're talking about all things divorce and how to move from simply surviving to actually thriving after divorce. So if you're newly divorced, this is for you. If you're been divorced for a while, okay, it says she's unable to join. I'm just gonna ask her to make sure she's on her phone. Okay, Alex, I don't know if you're on your phone. You can only join from your phone, so I'm gonna try again because I tried to add you. Oh, there you are. Hello.
Thank you. Okay, hold on a second, because now I have to do something different because my microphone is not what I thought it was going to be.
Oh,
Hold on.
okay.
Technology, right?
I know. I
All right, hold
know.
on.
Well, welcome everyone while we're setting up. Happy Saturday. Happy snow day. It's snow weekend for those of us in Toronto. It's really cold, so I hope you're keeping warm. And hopefully today's topic is going to keep you warm too. So I was saying before Alex joined, before we get started, like this show today is all about divorce and how you can go from surviving to actually thriving. I know some people are still down in it where, maybe it's fresh, right? Or maybe you've been in it for years and you're like, my life's just not getting better. Well, we're here to talk about all that today because you are meant to still thrive even after a divorce. And who better to have with us than Alex? That's her thing.
Right.
That's why she's here. So maybe let's start with a little bit of an introduction. So just tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
So I do what I do because I think it's worth it. I think it's needed. So what I do is I take women after they've gotten divorced and I basically help them put the pieces of their lives back together. And I apologize if I sound weird, but I just had dental work, so half my face is half asleep.
Oh,
So
no, that's the worst. The freeze,
so
that's the
I'm
worst.
not usually that weird, but um, so because what I found is when I went through my journey,
Mhm.
I I asked for the divorce and I decided that it was time. And it still didn't change the fact that when I came out, I had poured so much of me into him and into his business and into his dreams that I got out of there and I was like, who am I and what do I want? I was really sure about what I didn't want, but I had no idea what I wanted. And so that started actually my personal development journey. And here we are years later.
Yeah, and now you're helping women really have what it is that you wish you had when you went through your own divorce. And
Exactly.
and something you said that is so key is divorce has a way of just breaking you, and you
Hmm.
become this fragmented pieces of a puzzle.
Yeah.
And there's no manual, like no one, no, divorce is so lonely that you just don't know how to put the things back together. You don't even know if the final image is what you're going to recognize, if that's what you
Yeah.
still want, because you may have become this version of yourself that was tied a feather to this marriage, to this identity of who you were in that marriage. And so it's not an easy journey. So I don't want to, we're not here saying, oh, it's easy, you can just like pick your
No.
life back together, put the pieces in place. No, it's a journey. It's a difficult journey, but one that you have to go
Yeah.
on. You cannot stay
Absolutely.
lost. Yeah, you have to
Absolutely.
go on.
Because I think part of it is society likes to put people in boxes, right?
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think the box for women is very specific. It's wife, it's mother, it's homemaker,
Yeah.
it's carer, nurturer, and somewhere along the way, I think we're just conditioned that this is how we have to be and who we have to be. So when all of a sudden we find ourselves, we may still be a mother, but we're no longer a wife,
Yeah.
then what do you do? And in the beginning can feel like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But there's always a silver lining to something, right? And I think the beauty and the gift, at least it was for me, in divorce was that I had a chance to do it all over again for me on my terms. I got to say, who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? What do I want in my life? Who do I want in my life? And why not make the best of it? Because we can't count on anybody else but ourselves at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is so true because it's easy to look at the divorce like, this is it, it's over, I've lost everything, I have no one now who's going to want me, but you can look at it the other way, which is, this is a brand new opportunity. I get a blank slate. I get to determine
Yeah,
who I want to be, who I want to cut my hair, I want to dye my hair, I want to lose weight, I want to gain weight, I want to travel the world, whatever it is, you get a chance to start over. And I think a
absolutely.
lot of women lose that. They're so focused looking back at what the marriage wasn't or what it was
Hmm.
that they're not willing to look forward and be like, wow, this, I've been given a chance to
Yeah.
do something different.
And I think it's a process, right? Because there is going to be a period of grief. You have to grieve divorce just like you would the loss of any other relationship because you're grieving the dreams that you had together that
Mm,
are never going to be, the life that you thought you were going to have that you're never going to have. I had to grieve not having children because I always wanted to have children and it just wasn't in the cards. So you have to give yourself the chance to grieve, to be angry, to be frustrated, to go through all of those emotions, but not to hide from them because
mm,
the only way to get to the other side is to experience them. The more we, in a way, the more we experience them, the more we take away their power. Um, I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but like, you get angry and you want to punch something. And if you do have the chance to actually do that, little by little, you don't
yep,
feel it, right? It
yep,
doesn't have that same hold on you.
yeah.
So once you've been able to go through that, then the clouds start to come apart and you're like, okay, maybe I can do this,
Mm,
right? And if I am going to do this, how
yeah,
do I want to do it?
yeah. So, and I think that's because two things happen to people. Oh, well, maybe multiple things, but for me, what I've seen in my experience, some people right out of a marriage, they jump into the next relationship and they're like, I need to. And you find that people who remarry too quickly end up in another divorce, like
Yeah,
pretty quickly, because like, you haven't even done the work. You haven't grieved the marriage that just ended. You haven't learned any lessons. You hadn't decided on how you want to move forward. Now you're just quickly trying to prove to everyone that you are not the problem. He was the problem. I'm going to go ahead and marry somebody
yeah,
else. And so I've seen that jump that people do and it still ends in disaster. And then I've seen those who are just in that freeze mode and just constantly mourning that marriage that ended
mhm,
for like 10 years and they're still wearing the ring and still like, oh, they're still stalking him. I'm like, oh, he's with this woman, let's see how long. What is it? What you
yeah,
care? Think
yeah,
really what you care. So I've seen those two play out and it really doesn't end well for the women. And so this is I think this is so key what it is that you do working with women to help them look ahead and really step into who they want to become, who they're becoming, their new identity, and figure out what that is for them. It's going to be something different for everybody, right? But staying stuck,
yeah.
no. Jump in the steps and trying to go marry somebody else, that also doesn't work.
Yeah, and I want to go back to what you said about learning the lessons,
Hmm.
right? Because I don't believe that I would be with the man that I am with today. We've been together 12 and a half years and we communicate. It's a loving, caring, like I've never been in a relationship like this before. But I don't know I would be in this relationship if I hadn't done the work after coming out of my divorce. So I will, as weird as it sounds, I will forever be grateful that I went through that, because that's what got me started on my journey of, well, who am I and who do I want to be?
Yeah.
And if we and let's be honest, there's also fun to be had after divorce, right? No, 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 well, there is a lot of fun that can be had after divorce, but
Yeah.
you also have to think about carefully about what you want to do with that, right?
Hmm.
Because it can be a tool for self-discovery as well,
Hmm.
learning more about ourselves,
Yeah.
learning more about what do we want, what do we not want,
Yeah.
what will we tolerate, what are deal breakers, what are nice to haves, and all of those things. So the work that comes after the divorce is really just so vitally important, so that we don't, like you said, keep making or keep meeting the same guy. Like, how many women do you know who say, I keep meeting these losers?
Yeah.
And it's like, honey, I hate to say it, but you got to figure out within you what you're looking for, and why are you trying to fill that
Mhm.
void outside instead of trying to fix it within you, because what we get is a reflection of what, you know, what we put out
Yeah.
in some
Yep.
ways.
Yep. Absolutely. It's what's going on the inside of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's so key, what you said about having fun. But again, going back to what you said at the beginning, because for a lot of us women, especially the older ones, we were wired and conditioned to be married. Like marriage was like the ultimate badge of honor.
you you've arrived, right?
You've
You got married,
arrived.
you've that's
You've
it.
conquered you've won. You can die now. It's okay. Right?
Yeah.
And so that identity, women just feel I need to be married. I need to be married to be somebody.
Yeah.
But no, you are somebody. You are somebody before the marriage, after the marriage, you will always be somebody.
Yeah.
And the divorce, that space, is the point where you can really go in and discover who you are. Because now you're doing it with experience. Like when you're in your 20s or your teens, you don't know who you are. You're just like, you just marry
Yeah.
anybody. Like like whatever. You just like, oh, he looks good, he's tall. And that was enough. But
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you have the opportunity to really figure out who you are, what your values are,
Yeah.
what kind of relationship do you want? Where is that relationship going to go? Like, is it somebody who's going to grow with you or
Mm.
somebody who's good? Whatever it is for you, you get to define that
Yeah.
and go after that.
Yeah.
So it's so key. This space after you divorce,
Critical.
enjoy it. It's
Yeah.
so key.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so key.
Yeah.
I agree.
Absolutely. Somebody asked me the other day,
Hmm.
when 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 did you when did you know who you were? Something along those
Hmm.
lines. And I was like, I don't think I really ever knew who I was until after I went through my divorce, because that's what triggered
Hmm.
for me to go down that path.
Hmm.
And you're absolutely right. We exist simply because we are, and we are allowed to take up space, and we are allowed to be women without being wives
Yeah.
or mothers
Hmm.
or caregivers. We have a value just simply because we're humans.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so someone's divorced now. They've spent the time to go through this healing journey and getting started on the inner work and all of that great stuff. And now they're like, okay, how I don't recognize who I am. I know that I've lost my identity. How can you help them rediscover who they are so that they can get on that path to thriving later in life?
So I think at the root is being clear about what we want
Okay.
and who we want to be, right? That has to be the first thing, first and foremost. Once you start to dig a little deeper and start to figure out, okay, this is kind of where I see my, and it's not, nothing is ever set in stone. You change your mind along the way, you discover something different. It's not because today you decide this is how I want to show up that something doesn't happen tomorrow that makes you second guess that, and you need to then, you need to then change. But so it's really getting that getting that clarity, but
Hmm.
then it's about taking care of ourselves, really
Hmm.
taking care of ourselves, making the time to nourish ourselves. It's about developing the courage to be on our own and to
Mm.
try different things and to risk a little bit. I'm not, saying putting yourself in risky situations, but try stuff. I mean, if you've never taken yourself out to dinner, just even that on its own can be really scary for some women.
Yeah.
But it's it's a nice way, and it's an easy way to start stretching the limits to see how far you're willing to go.
Mm.
You have to, learn how to establish boundaries and how to influence people around us to think in a different way and look at us in a different way, because at the end of the day we want to reclaim our life,
Yes.
and if we build on a foundation of sand, which is to go from one relationship to the other, or we don't do our own work, it's very difficult for that to be stable. But
Mm.
the more we can work on ourselves and establish kind of those pillars of those foundations of strength within us, then it just makes everything
Hmm.
so much easier.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think in the process of self-discovery, like you said, nothing is cast in stone, and you will make mistakes. You will stumble and fall. It's not a linear journey or linear path, right? Who I was after my divorce is still not who I am today. Like I'm evolving every single day,
Every
and
day.
I have no apologies. It's like, but Joan, last year you said these were your top five. Well, now I have a new top five. Like, what are you going to do about it? So give yourself the permission to
Yeah.
keep discovering who you are. I think it's so key because again, social media, the world, everything, society, they want to put women in a box and assume that all women have to behave a certain way, want the same things, want the same type of men,
Mm-hmm.
want. We don't want that. We don't all want that. This is the time for you to really take the time to figure out who you are. And you might think you want this stuff, go try it out. And if you don't
That's
want it,
it.
quit and try something different. This is
Absolutely.
where you empower yourself to live life on your own terms. I see divorce as a positive. I think
Yeah.
it's really the trigger to unlock, like open that door and just walk through. Now is your chance.
It's
Go be you.
Yeah, exactly. It's if you've never been given an invitation to be yourself and to
Hmm.
live your life,
Hmm.
this is it. This
Yeah.
is your blanket invitation to just decide who you want to be, how you
Yeah.
want to show up,
Yeah.
and what you want to have as part of your life.
Hmm.
And then the easy part is then you make it happen. Then you figure out, okay, if this is who I want to be, how I want to show up, what do I need to do
Hmm.
in order to get there? And some women can do it on their own, others need a little help. I wish I had a
I
little
wish
bit of
I had
help because
to.
I
Ugh.
was like, I had no idea what I was doing, but I was like, it's okay, I'm going.
Yeah.
Because I had no other choice. I had to figure it out. And yeah, I made mistakes. Yeah, I found myself making out with guys in a bar, but that was part of the fun bit that we talked about before, right? And but it wasn't it it nothing. We don't have to let anything define us that we don't that doesn't that doesn't sit well
Hmm.
with us, right? We don't have to follow anybody's definition of who we are or who we ought to be.
Hmm.
This is the time to just put a stake in the ground for ourselves and just say, okay, the rest of my life I've given,
Yeah.
right? The rest of my life is mine.
It's mine.
And let me create it in a way that feels empowering, feels fulfilling.
Hmm.
Because when you show up as a whole person, I think that's the other thing is often we want other people to kind of complete us,
Complete us.
right?
No.
And
Hmm.
but we forget that we're okay. We don't need to be completed. The work of that completion work is our work to do. It's not anybody else's work to do. Nobody's going to do that for us.
Yeah.
And when you do that work and you show up and you're confident in who you are and you're strong and your beliefs are um, congruent with who you
Hmm.
are, what you project into the world is
It's
different.
different.
Your energy is different. Therefore, what you bring into your life, what you attract
Mhm.
into your life is going to be different. So, we were saying before, why do I keep dating these losers? Not because you're a loser. You keep dating people that aren't fit for you because you have patterns and you have things that you need to get to the root of,
Mhm.
understand so that you can let them go, so you can flourish and you can shine
Yeah,
and you can thrive.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. And then something that you said, right? Even with minus relationship patterns, that people keep dating the same
Mm,
people over and over again, there's also the familiarity of who you used to
yeah,
be. So a lot of people are scared to step into this new version of themselves because now their family is going to be like, who's that? Their friends are going to be like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Like your colleagues are going to be like, I want a new career. You're going to be a different human being.
mm,
And it's scary. And especially if you're
yes,
going through this alone, it is freaking scary,
yeah,
right? Because that's what's familiar. The subconscious mind loves familiarity. So
mm,
it's difficult. So even though you might be thinking, I want more, it's like, who are you kidding? These look around you. This is what you've always
yeah,
done. And then you stay stuck. This is the opportunity now to, if you're ready, if you really want something different and you want to quit surviving, get out
mm-hmm,
of this
mm-hmm,
survival stuck in the past, looking back, comparing yourself with your ex and seeing what he's doing and not doing, or waiting. Because everyone, I don't know about you, but when I went through a divorce, I thought everybody was watching. I thought everybody was watching to see me crumble and
yeah,
fall. And maybe they were, but I didn't really. Initially, I was like, there was no support. So I was like, okay, they're not supporting me. It means they're waiting for me to really, really have a total
mm,
meltdown.
mm,
But at some point, I was like, no, this is a gift. This is a gift for me to step
yeah,
into the new me. This is a new gift for me to be who I knew I was meant to be,
yeah,
right? So for a lot of people, this is your time. This is your moment. You
mm-hmm,
will lose friends.
mm-hmm,
Your family will not recognize you, and that's okay. But you need to step into the truth of who you were created to be, who you want to be.
yeah,
Because when you do, everything changes.
everything. And you know the story of the crabs in the bucket, right?
No, tell me.
So if you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket,
Hmm.
one will try to climb out. What do the other ones do?
Put you back.
They pull you back,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And that goes back to what you were saying about familiarity, is that people are used to you being who you are.
yeah.
And it is a risk to change in more ways
Yeah,
than one.
yeah.
But I know so many women who have been ostracized by their own families
Oh,
because they've been through a divorce, right? And that growth journey is going to mean that you might lose some people along the way.
mhm.
But if those people aren't willing to support you, if they're not willing to love you for who you are or who you're becoming, are those the people that you want to have in your corner? Because life is pretty darn hard enough as it is,
Yeah.
not to have people put sticks in your wheels so that you can't pedal as fast as you possibly
Hmm.
can.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's so worth it. So, okay. So you've gone through a divorce, you've done some healing work, right? You've learned some lessons, you've gone on your journey of rediscovering who you are and deciding who you want to show up with in the world. You have no support, and you're like, okay, I know I want to move forward. I'm ready. Like I'm ready. I think I know where I want to go, but I just don't have the skills. I don't know
Mhm.
where to get
Mm.
started. What would be your recommendation for women who are at that point in their lives right now?
I would say spend time getting to know you,
Hmm.
fall in love with
Mm,
you,
I like that one.
because if you are not capable of loving yourself, it's very difficult to love, either to love somebody else or to be loved in the right way, because then it becomes conditional, right? Because,
Hmm.
oh, if I don't love myself enough, then if he loves me or if somebody else loves me, then there's always going to be a bit of that fear of, oh, well, what if he leaves me? Then what does that mean?
Hmm.
Or, well, if I don't behave then in the way that I think he might expect me to behave, then that might cause problems. So focus on you. do the work, learn to love yourself, learn to be strong in who you are, learn to accept even the bits that aren't so nice, because we're not all sugar, right? We all have a little bit of spice.
Yeah.
And some of that spice sometimes can make us feel like we're not perfect.
Yeah.
That's another box, right? That
Yeah.
women have to be in. You know, you can never be perfect enough. You're too fat, you're too thin, you're too
Too
tall, you're
short
too
or
short, you're too this, you're too, right? You're always too
yeah.
something or not enough something,
Yeah.
right? So the only recourse that we have is to fall in love with who we are. And when we fall in love with who we are, that's when we can approach life from almost like a detached way, in that with no expectations. We show up, we accept what comes in, and we make the best of what we have.
Hmm. I love that. I love the whole idea of falling in love with yourself. And I know some people are like, no, but I already love myself. No, you don't. Most
Yeah,
people don't, because
yeah,
if you really did love yourself and you think about the decisions that you make about yourself daily, like if you gave that advice to somebody, you'd be like, maybe not.
yeah,
But we do this to ourselves. So you might think, I love myself. But no, we're saying fall in love
yeah,
with yourself. Like really be okay being by yourself.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so
Because,
key.
yeah, I mean, there's a difference between being alone and being lonely,
Exactly.
right?
Yep. Yeah.
And you can be alone and not be lonely,
Yeah.
and you can be in a
And
marriage
be very lonely.
and be lonely,
Tell me about it. Ugh.
right? You're not alone, but you are lonely because your partner doesn't see you, they don't hear you, they don't respect you. I mean, so that ease that
Mhm.
comes with, I'm okay with who I am.
Yeah.
I think she's actually pretty cool. And I
Yeah.
think other people need to see this person for who she is,
Yeah.
right? And love her for who she is.
Mhm.
That makes the world of difference.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. So in terms of like getting support,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like what recommend, because my divorce I was by myself. You just told us you were by yourself too. So what are some of the ways that women can get some, because it's not easy. Like this journey, like it's painful. It's not easy. It could be long. Like I said, it's not linear. So you make some progress and then you fall off and then you be sad for yourself and then you cry and then you come back up and then what are some of the ways that women can get some support and some help? And maybe this is a good way for you to talk about how you support the women that you
Mm.
work with.
So, what I do is I do both one on one and group coaching.
Mhm.
And what I'm building right now is a community of other women who have gone through divorce.
Mhm.
And the reason why I'm leaning towards more group coaching now is because I believe in the power of the community and in the power of going through something with other women who have a similar story. So we learn from each other in terms of what works, what doesn't work, how women are showing up. So being able to be part of a group, yes, there's coaching involved, obviously, because there's a process that we go through that
Yeah,
takes you from, let's say, surviving to thriving,
yeah,
right? But I think being part of a supportive community that understands what you're going through
yeah.
is really it's absolutely critical. And
Awesome.
that can happen in a number of ways. That can happen in, your local community. It can happen online. It can happen anywhere where women are coming together and able to support each other.
Yeah, yeah. I find community like so help. I wish I had a community when I went through mine. And, I do similar. I support women, divorced women as well, who are ready to date again. But it's so powerful. Like when you hear the stories of others, you're like, oh, I thought it was just me. Like it's not just you. Like everybody
That's
is
it.
struggling. So having people around you who can support you, and then you have a coach who can guide you through a process, because it's a process. And if you try to jump and rush and go get married right after a
Hmm.
marriage, like good God, good luck. We'll
Hmm.
be here. You can come tell us your story in 3 months
Yeah.
because it just doesn't work. you have to do the deep work to be able to thrive.
That's the key.
And speaking about thriving, how would you describe a woman who is thriving? Because I use that term as well. I'm like, I'm thriving. What does that mean to you?
Um, she's thriving. A woman thrives when she, oh, that's a good question. When she is able to shine her light with the people that are, around her. She thrives when she can show up authentically, when she doesn't make excuses for who she is, when she can be silly, goofy, sexy, elegant,
Mm,
charming, all of those things all together, as long as it feels natural and
yeah.
they take ownership of that. I think a woman thrives when she meets a partner who doesn't feel threatened
Mm,
by who she is and by what she does, but he supports her every step of the way. And he shows up in a way that makes her want to be better even for him, right? So those are what I would say, how I would describe a woman who's thriving. But at the core, a woman who's able to thrive is a woman who is true to herself and able to show up authentically.
yeah. And I think that that's a good question for anyone who's watching this to really contemplate on. Like, be honest with yourself. Are you really thriving or are you just faking it?
Mhm.
We're not talking about faking it. We're talking about this being your reality, this being how you wake up and how you show up every single day, right? This is not about looking a certain way or going to certain places. No, this is your core essence. This is when you step into any space, this is what people can see. They can feel your energy, your true self. You're authentic, you're courageous, you're not afraid to be who you are. You know who you are, what you want, where you're going.
Mhm.
And only when you've done the work, because to be that, you have to do the work, can you now attract the kind of man that you were saying. So a man who sees you, not the fake version of you, but sees the real you and then can appreciate you, can hold that space for you, can support you, whatever your dreams are, and can just be there for you to keep shining. He's not trying to dim your light. He's not here to compete with you. He's here to just
Amen.
make you glow. Just
Yeah.
glow. Glow. And you can have it. Right, because
Absolutely.
I don't care what society tries to peddle. Where when you're divorced, it's like, okay, well, that's it. You're no, no, no. This is the time for you to rewrite your story.
Yeah.
You can be a woman who's thriving,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But you do
No,
have to be willing to do the
absolutely.
work.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, people would like to have you believe that divorce is failure.
Oh yeah,
That's a bunch of
no, please.
bone.
I don't even believe divorce is something you failed at. Because I used to say that, like, divorce is not failure, it's just something you felt. You didn't even feel. Like, you did not feel. It was just an experience. You needed to go through that for you to step into the next version of yourself, period.
I agree. And at the same time, if we don't use that opportunity to go through that growth journey,
Then that is
it
the
only
failure.
becomes a failure if we
Exactly.
don't do that,
Exactly.
right? Because it's a signal, it's the universe telling you, honey, you got some work to do.
Yes.
So get started because this is
Yeah.
going to be your life path. So it's a new beginning. It's a new chapter. It's um hell, it might be a completely different book. So
Yeah, exactly. Throw the book, throw the, I think
throw
today
that
was
off.
a completely different book.
Exactly.
Like, throw that book out. This is ancient. Like, this is a brand new slate. Write the new
Yeah.
book. But yeah, but like, I know I know more divorced people than married people.
Hmm.
So this is the reality of the times that we live in. So we need to get over that whole stigma that comes with being divorced and just embrace what it is and know that, okay, this is your trigger for you to step into the next
Yeah.
version. It means that there's work, there's healing, there's stuff that you need to do along your journey. Get on it. Stop holding on to what isn't there. Get with it. Right? Just move on. Your life will always be better if you're willing to do the
Yeah.
work. If you don't, then you're going to repeat the same mistakes you did with your marriage. And yeah, it's going to be the
And
same.
the other thing is because we haven't talked about children, and I don't have
I
children,
don't have
right?
children.
But I think
Mhm.
about, what do we want to role model, right?
That is true.
And
That
how do
is
we
true.
want to show up for, how do we want our children to see how we make it through this difficult time? Because it's a period of transition, and we're going to go through multiple transitions in our lives, right? So how do we go through this transition in a way that we're empowered, but we're also showing our children that, and it may not be children. I have three nieces and a nephew, right?
Yeah.
So showing the next generation,
Yeah.
right? This is how you pick up the pieces. You learn from what happened, you become better, you become stronger,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you can stand on your own 2 feet.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's such a key point because women, again, because of how we've been conditioned, a lot of women stay in
Mm-hmm.
marriages because of the kids. Because it's like, no, the kids need a stable home. No, the kids need a home. They need a safe space, right? It's not about two people being together. If it's a toxic environment, you're not helping that child.
At all.
Like,
At all.
it's worse. I tell my parents I wish they divorced when I was one. I wouldn't have had to go through all
Mm,
that trauma. Like it's cost me a lot of money in therapy. I'm still going to therapy just to deal with
yeah.
my parents' marriage.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I didn't need that.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times women especially, they stay because they think I can't leave the marriage because I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to set that example for the kids. But no, you're doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
The kids need to know what a good example looks like when something is toxic and not working. It's not serving you. This
Mm-hmm.
is how you take
Yeah.
care of it. This is how you do it in a respectful way. I don't believe that divorce has to be dirty and everyone's pissed off and trying to kill each other. No, it doesn't
It
have to be
doesn't.
messy. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't. I think
Yeah.
I look at how my parents handled their divorce with us.
Mhm.
And I think one of the reasons why we're all so, in some ways, well adjusted is because the kids, they did everything that they could, especially my mom, to make sure that things were stable for the kids.
Mhm.
They never denigrated the other parent in front of the children. They
Yeah.
never used the children as a
It's a weapon.
weapon
Yeah.
against each other,
Hmm.
which I've seen happen in other
Oh, oh
situations.
yeah.
Um, so I don't know where I was going with that, but anyways, um,
The
it
kids, right? Just do it. Just be
keeping the
cordial.
kids
It to be
as,
amicable.
yeah,
Amicable divorce.
exactly, because the kids, like you said, they need a loving environment, and
Yes.
if the parents are always at each other, always fighting, always, then is that, because they're going to learn their behaviors from what they see, not, and from what they
Not what
hear,
you tell
not from
them.
what you tell them, right?
Yes.
So
Live an example here. Leave an example.
yeah. So that
Yeah.
role modeling piece, I think,
Mhm.
if we're not willing to go through that journey for
Yeah.
ourselves, then let's do it for the next generation, because they deserve better
Yeah.
from us as their role models.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Wow, awesome. Okay, so now, so for the women that may be thinking they want to work with you, how would they know that, who are the women that you want to work with, and what are some of the transformations that they can expect at the end of their journey with you?
So coming out on the other side, I think when we start that journey, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of chaos. We're trying to figure, everything out.
Mm-hmm.
When we go through the program, there's a newfound sense of peace. There's a newfound sense of confidence. I think for career women specifically, we might just throw ourselves into work, and so that we don't have to deal with our emotions, right? I know this, so let me do this,
Yes.
right? But we never deal with the underlying emotions that really need to be dealt with. So it's um, on the other side, it's confidence. It's, like I said, it's more peace.
Mm-hmm.
It's owning our lives, taking full accountability and responsibility for who we are, for our lives, and knowing that no matter what, we have the tools and the skills to have a pretty damn good life, right? And we can do it on our own, and we're okay being on our own,
Yes.
right? We're okay being on our own.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
really that transition from, I'm trying to survive to really embracing our life and just living to our full potential.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that so much because even if you don't end up with someone, and I hope everybody ends up with someone because I'm a
Agreed.
sucker for love, but it's about being okay
Hmm.
regardless. Being okay whether you have a man beside you or not. I think that is that is the work. That is
Yeah,
priceless, right? And when you get to that point, it becomes pretty damn easy for you to attract a man. At least in my
absolutely.
experience, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome work. Well, I want to encourage anyone who's going through divorce. Divorce is painful, it's never easy, and it doesn't have to be this difficult. You don't have to do it alone. There's a lot of support out there. You can reach out to Alex. You can join her community if you're ready to date. Like for me, you got to heal first, and then we can go about dating. If you want to date, you can reach out to me. That's my jam. But it doesn't have to be a painful journey. It's not a failure. It's a new chapter or a new book in your life. Embrace it. Start your journey today. Become that empowered, beautiful, successful, courageous, authentic woman, that shining light that you were created to be. It's like stop
Absolutely.
hiding. This
Yeah.
is your time. I really believe this year a lot of women will be set free on their own journey of empowerment, of success, whatever that looks like for you. But this is your permission
Yeah.
to get started in that
I
journey.
love that word. It is absolutely our permission. And I think more than ever before in history,
Yes,
we need to get stronger.
yes, we need to. It's now. It's time. It's time.
Agreed.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alex. It's so
Thanks,
wonderful.
Joan.
I love what it is that you do. Yeah.
I love what you do. I wish I had you around when I was going through after my divorce, because
Well, you did pretty well on your own.
yeah, no, I did. I did okay.
That's super awesome. Okay, so any final parting words for our guests? Anything you want to leave them with?
I would say don't be afraid of the journey. Just, know, just get started. One foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be big leaps. It can be just little things every day. Just look at it as this is my chance, right? This is my time to be me and to love me and to become who I was always meant to be, regardless of whether or not I have a partner. So don't hesitate to take the leap, because what's on the other side is pretty damn good.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. It's so worth it. It's so worth
So,
it. Well,
absolutely.
thank you so much. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
sharing
Joan.
so much wisdom with us today. Really appreciate it.
This was
And
fun.
thanks to everyone who joined. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna have you back soon in a
Awesome.
couple of weeks. Yeah, but thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank
And
you.
to everyone as well, thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I
Enjoy.
will see you all same time next week.
Okay.
All right,
Bye.
take care. Bye.